Hi and welcome to another one of Darren's bass lessons. Today is all about the right hand technique. Is it 1, 2 or 3 fingers? Well, here we go. I use 3 actually. I have a reason for using 3 fingers and I'll tell you all about that in just a minute. But here we go. So the standard bass technique is a 2-finger technique here on the electric bass. Now if we were to play double bass, if we were stood up in this position, the fingers are side on. Here, more like in this position, but we'll still use the 2 fingers, or if you want a little bit more power in the Ray Brown method, you would pull with 2 fingers on 1 string, as opposed to walking the fingers. But on the electric bass, the way to play has been known as, most commonly, the 2-finger rest stroke method. Now the rest stroke is a technique from classical guitar playing, where we play the finger and it rests against the next string up as you pluck it. Like that. Make sure my bass is turned up. And we alternate the fingers, index, middle, so you'll see I, M, index, middle, index, middle, index, middle. And if you look really close down here, I hope you can see it through the camera, I'll just move the head of my bass there. When I pluck, the finger bends like this, as opposed to like this, so it pushes in and lands on that next string there, as opposed to plucking out, which gives us a thinner sound, and that is called the free stroke. Now the free stroke, that's fine. You use the free stroke for all different kinds of things on the bass or on the guitar. But what we're looking at here just first is a rest stroke, where we rest on the next string. Okay? So you can really get some thump to your sound with that. James Jameson, by the way, used 1 finger, which is known as the hook. And I think that is from his days as being a double bass player in his earlier jazz period before the Motown stuff, and in the early Motown days. He was an upright bass player, so I think when he played with this technique, he either used 2 fingers together or just 1 finger by itself, but when he translated that over to the P bass during the Motown years, he used just 1 finger and it became known as the hook. So we've got the hook, 1 finger. And that's just the finger just plucking once, the thumb's here just resting on the top E string here. That's the way I do it. That's another lesson, by the way, in muting. Anyway, so we've got the 1 finger. And we've got the 2 fingers in rest stroke, not free stroke pulling. Free stroke, by the way, when you like this, if you can see there in the back of the bass, they're pulling, as opposed to pushing in the free stroke, you get a thinner sound. But I'm not saying that's wrong, because some bass lines require that, especially bass lines which use chords. Or any of the Victor Wooten stuff you might see in things, you'll see them changing technique from here to here, where they're picking the string. But for your general kind of bass lines or bass playing, we've got the free stroke, okay? Now the other one which I use is the 3-finger technique. Now I didn't apply, or I didn't acquire, should I say, this technique because I wanted to be technical and use 3 fingers. It was literally because I got such a bad blister on my middle finger as a 17-year-old bass player, and I couldn't get this blister to go at all. It would not go because I was practicing constantly doing gigs and little shows and things like that, that I decided to give it a rest, and I started to use these 2 fingers instead, the 1st and the 3rd. So you've seen lots of my videos I'm using 1st and 3rd finger, but as time went on I realised that did have its limitations, but I have learned that it does have its plus points as well, because I do feel that those fingers are more or less the same length. The 1st and the 3rd fingers, not much in them anyway, compared to the 2nd one anyway, which is much longer. So the 1st and the 3rds, I thought, with a relaxed hand position, they're about the same length, they're playing on the same string. So for many years I used 1st and 3rd. But I hadn't practiced it in the same respect as I practice index and middle. So that's when I started to adopt the middle finger again, years after that. So now I use all 3. I think I still use the 3rd quite a bit more than normal. That's just using the 1st and 3rd. So yeah, I combine the three. So the way I do that is as follows. I don't have a complete fixed pattern, but I've tried to work this out the way I do it. It all depends on what kind of thing I'm playing. If I'm playing a triplet pattern, I did that with just first and third. I can do it with first and second. I've noticed I do fly the little finger out a bit more when I'm using the third finger. However, if I start to have to reach for a note, so if I had a four finger pattern, so I've got the third, first, second, third, first, and then first again on the G there. So what I've done with this actually, as I analyse it more and more over time, is that I'm playing a lot of first and third finger, but if I've got anything to stretch back at, so say if I've just played the G string here, and I've gone to the D string to play the B to the A, and then going back to the D, because this finger's a little bit longer, I'll make my stretch up to that next string with the second finger, because it's a longer finger. So I think that is how I use the three finger technique really. It's not necessarily to play fast semiquavers. I can do fast semiquavers with it. Obviously there's three fingers in the semiquaver pattern, we've got segments of 4 sounds. But here is how I would do the semiquaver. So and this is 1 and a 2 now. So that's triplets, 3. And this is quavers, semi-quavers, sorry. So if anybody's interested in learning that, so I've got the 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 1. 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 1. And then 3 again. And on that one I'm putting the 1 beat on the first finger, so 1 E and 1 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 and. So I'm accenting on the first finger there, so 1. So in fact I have 3 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 3. So I'm using my third finger to lead. In fact, the first one, I use my first finger to lead. 1 3 2 1. I think I'm playing really fast. I've got a third finger on there. So it's 3 3 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 3 1 2 1. So it's 3 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 3. We've got 3 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 3 1 2 1. So I've got 3 1 2 1. But sometimes I'll start on the first. So I've got 1 and 2 and. So 1 E and A. The A is on the, so 1 E and A on the second one here. Also, it's incredibly complex, doesn't it? But that's my three finger technique. But it was born out of desperation, really, because I was in so much pain with the middle finger here that I really had to think of a way that I could play by using these two fingers, and then I became so reliant upon these two fingers that it took me a while to get this one back into play again. Just using these two guys, I didn't have the speed that I would have had with these two. For some reason I could not get that speed together. Not that we need to play fast all the time, but I just wanted to be versatile, so I had to reincorporate the second finger back into there somehow, and I'd had years of not using the second finger. So I did reincorporate it in, and I have a complete three finger technique. I am also a guitar player. I would suppose you would call it a trained classical guitar player. So I did learn how to use all four of the fingers really. So if I play anything flamenco or any kind of classical pieces or guitar pieces or jazz guitar, whatever it is, if I'm using the fingers, I do tend to use all of them actually. So I think over the years I've incorporated that into my bass playing, which has helped me when I'm playing solo bass and the chord stuff and things like that. But yeah, that's my approach to using the three finger technique, and I hope that gives you an insight into doing that. Not that I want you to get big blisters on your fingers so you can't play, but if you feel that it is something that would aid you, then have a go with it. I mean, guys who are using just index and middle finger are playing just fine. Jacko, Anthony Jackson, all those guys, they just use 2 fingers, absolutely fine. Mine came through a necessity to get past the problem, but it stuck with me. Whether it's hindered me or aided me, I really could not say, but there you are. That's my approach anyway. So thanks for listening again, guys, and I'll see you soon in the next lesson.